we're going to be turning this hex nut into this ring. Alright, so today we're out in the garage where I'm going to turn this hex nut into a ring. This is my old one. It is now far too, as you can see, far too big for my finger as I've lost a load of weight. So I'm going to make a new one with a slightly different design and see how it goes. You can do this with just hand tools, with files, etc. But I'm extremely lazy, and because I have it, I'm going to be using a rotary tool. It was only about 30 quid, if that. And if you're going to use a rotary tool, get the carbide burrs, because they eat away at metal. So we're going to start off by taking out the threads on the inside and then see how it goes. Let's start off by saying I'm going to be holding the hex nut in a pair of vice grips because they get very hot when you're chewing away metal at them. Chewing metal away from them. Now that that's got to a size where it's virtually there, I'm going to switch over to sandpaper on the end of a drill. So I may still use this, but I used to use this, which is just a bit of a bolt chucked up in a drill with some electrical tape around it. But I think I may have a better option this time, so I will get that working. Alright, as you can see, I've got the hex nut in the vice grips in a bench vise, and what I've done is I actually ended up having to use my old method, but what I've done is I've just taped a strand of sandpaper onto the improvised thing, and what I do is I literally just pop it in and give it a sanding. Alright, so just after doing that for literally not even a minute, that's turned into a snug fit. He says, getting it stuck on his finger. So I'm going to do it slightly more, probably go up a couple of grits to get the inside nice and finished. And we'll be back with you in a sec. Alright, so we're going to leave it at that for today. The inside is smooth and clean, and it fits on my finger, albeit slightly tight, but we'll finagle that tomorrow. Next thing I'm going to be doing is knocking off all the corners of the hex nut. And then I've got a little plug cutter, which is a round thing on a shank that I can put in the drill, which is a lot tighter fit than the other thing. So I'm going to chuck that up once we knock the corners off and do all that tomorrow and hopefully get it finished. Okay, so next up, I've put my just cheapy belt sander in the bench vise, and I've got the ring in the vice grips to start knocking off all the corners of the hex nut. So let's do this. You can do this with a file, but it just takes ages and I can't be bothered. Alright, for now we've got it where all the, let's see if this is too hot to hold, no, it's fine. Where all the corners are knocked off, very roughly, but we'll clean that up a bit later. At this point, I'm going to put it back in the vice grips and take off the sides so that we can bring this down a bit. I mean, I have big hands, so it's fine having a chunky ring, but I don't want it being quite as thick as it is. So we'll pull that down a bit, get rid of the stamped lettering from it being a nut, and we'll do that now. What I've done now is I've chucked up the ring on a plug cutter, which I've put in the drill. You can also do this with the same jerry-rigged thing we did earlier by just jamming the ring, putting more electrical tape and jamming the ring on that. But this is going to give me slightly a truer roundness, and what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to put the drill on, put the sander on, and hold it against it, probably around here somewhere where there's slightly more give in the sandpaper, and we'll get this thinner and clean up the outside. Alright, so we've got the outside roughed in. Well, I say roughed in, a lot better. You can still see there's a bit of wall thickness there. What I'll probably do next is finish up the inside entirely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bevel these edges, because at the moment they're sharp. I'll show you how I do that. And then we're going to texture the outside, hopefully. But yeah, get in there. Okay, so got it wrapped around in a wedge shape. Let's do this. I'm going to do the last little bit of sanding with the sanding drum on my rotary tool on the inside bevel to get it even more of a smooth transition. So let's do that. Alright, so there we have our ring so far. Alright, what I'm going to do next is something that I would call a rock pattern. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this ball carbide burr and do loads of little divots in it and see how that goes. So there it is with all the divots in it. What I'll probably do next is give it a brush on the wire wheel and see how it finishes up, because it's very, very rough at the moment because of the carbide burr that you can't see. There we go. So let's give it a brush with the wire wheel and see how we do. Alright, so this is after wire wheeling. It's taken the bright shiny bits out of some of the areas, and for now I'm quite chuffed with that. I think I'm going to leave it like that. If I'd do anything, I'd probably just smooth out the inside a bit more, and if I could, I'd probably heat it up and try darkening it by putting it under a blowtorch and then dropping it in motor oil to try and darken the steel a bit. I think that works pretty well. Might also thin it down a bit, make it slightly slimmer, but I have big hands, so it doesn't look too stupid. Great! So that's it. We went from a hex nut to a smoothed out ring-shaped object to making it textured. You can see that. There we go. Now you can do other finishes on that if you want. Here's one I made a little while ago, which is more of a faceted finish. But yeah, that's it. If you liked the video, like. If you liked it that much, subscribe. See you next week.